Guys, Natos is Satan spelled backwards. I couldn't believe it, honestly.
Okay, everybody. Well, nobody. Just as I'd always have it. It's me, Skwatter of the Sprites Templar, and I'm back with another shitty, cheaty, glitchy ass game. Well, it's mainly my fault, anyways, but, I gotta be me. I'd have it no other way. Alright, so this is a double rambling here. I'm going to ramble about two games here. They're the Dungeon Explorer 1 and 2 on TurboGrafx 16. That is, pardon me, TurboGrafx 16. Stupid motherfucker. And that's the first game. And the second game is Dungeon Explorer 2 on TurboGrafx CD. I always use TurboGrafx and TurboGrafx CD rather than PC Engine CD because these are the North American variants of the said games. So that's why I say that. Okay. And on this game, I decided to be Harmit the Hermit. I'm not sure if that's actually what he is, but and I know that he's an unlockable character that you can unlock, redundant, in the course of the game, but I just decided to use the code from the get-go and play the game as him because I somewhat like to be unique in that way, shape, or form there. So, so this is Dungeon Explorer. It's a 5-player game, although I live alone and I have no friends, so I am only a single player here. Would be cool to, if somebody could make a hack of it and you could have a nerfed AI that would kind of hang around along with you. Or I was also thinking that I could make all 5 controllers have the exact same button bindings. So whenever I press start, everybody else presses start. Whenever I press left, right, up and down in attack, all the other characters would do that as well. But that's just my little imagination there. I don't even know if such a thing would work. Fucked up on that one. But yeah, no, so I would actually say that this game, it's actually really good. It's sort of a Gauntlet clone, but especially when it comes to the TurboGrafx, it didn't really have a whole lot of great games in its first year, at least from August '89 to December 31st, '89. So I was thinking that if they didn't decide to put, say, Legendary Axe as the pack-in game for the TurboGrafx in lieu of the awful Keith Courage and Alpha Zones, I would say that maybe you could hold off on releasing this console for a few months and make this the pack-in game with 5 controllers as well as the 5-port adapter. I know it would be a lot more expensive, but it would certainly be one heck of a selling point. It'd be the only console on the market where you could play 5 players on a great game right out of the box, and to have it an action RPG is really something. So yeah, like, it's just going from village to dungeon and everything. And I know you can't really expect a whole lot from these old games like that, but yeah, it was actually pretty. What's the word I'm looking for? Ahead of its time, I guess. But yeah, no, I kind of, I just basically wanted to burn through these two games. I had played them earlier, long time ago, years and years and years ago, and I had just realized within the past several weeks that I had not beaten, at least for my YouTube channel, these two games, and because I would have said that I thought I would have already, but that just isn't the case. So I decided to, close the chapter on these two games. There are very few role-playing games left on the TurboGrafx CD that I haven't played through for this channel. Mainly, I guess I could consider a few Hue card games like the Newtopia series, maybe Advanced Dungeons and Dragons, Order of the Griffin, that's what I was thinking of, yeah. So I was thinking, maybe I could do something like that, but I kind of tend to stray away from really complex, in-depth RPGs like Order of the Griffin, especially if they're on consoles that are comparatively dated, especially like the turbo graphics, because like I really can't wrap my head around the ancient interface and the lack of quality of life updates and things like that. So, and yeah, as I said, I really just wanted to burn through these games, and get through them as quickly as possible, uh, while trying to not just run around and do nothing, like get zero secrets and stuff like that, which was especially the case with the second game that I played in this series. I wanted to get all of the secret characters there. I know that they were also unlockable, just like the Hermit is, using the passwords, but I wanted to get them all unlocked, and I wanted to play the game. And yeah, I guess I should be saving this commentary for later in the video when the second game actually comes up. So I guess I'll stop myself there. This is why I call it a rambling. I'm kind of scatterbrained and everything, right? But the the soundtrack is pretty good, I would say. I think it makes good use of the processor. It's got a lot of catchy tunes, especially the overworld theme outside of the city. I really like that, and I also liked how they brought it back, or at least some of the tracks were brought back in the second game in the series, which was real nice. And so let me be honest with you here. I guess I'll get to. Oh, it's at 5x speed, and my guy was just standing there. Really puts it into perspective how long it takes for me to read the walkthroughs and figure out where I need to go. But so the cheats that I would use here, and boy, this really confused the hell out of me, because I am playing this on RetroArch 1.116. Sorry, 1.16.0. I know that they're up to like 1.19 or maybe 1.20 at this point. I'm not sure, but so I'm playing this on RetroArch, and the RetroArch cheats file, like, it exists for this game and for the second game. So I thought, this is great. I don't need to wrestle with art money or anything like that. But boy, was I ever wrong, because I didn't have any idea that while there were actual cheat files like in RetroArch, if you download them for this game and the other game, Beetle PCE, which is the emulator core, the libretro core that I'm using to play this game, it does not have cheat functionality. So I would start playing this game, I would activate the cheats, and I would realize that I'm dying, losing health, game over, my potions keep getting used up and everything. And my stats, like my attack and speed and intelligence and power, agility, they don't go up, So I was thinking, like, what the hell's going on? And yeah, Beetle PCE does not have cheat functionality, so those cheat files that are in that you can append and load and everything, they are entirely pointless and useless. So I had to go right back into using hex editors like Cheat Engine and mostly Art Money in order to get this game playable for a guy of my very extraordinarily low skill level and lack of eye-hand coordination, as well as patience for grindy bits like this. So for the life of me, for both this game and the next game, I could not figure out the hex values for your attributes, the agility, strength, or agility, attack, power, and intelligence. I think they changed one or two of them going from one game to the next. But because the hit points were easy enough, just take the exact value you see on the screen, type it into Art Money, and then get hit by a few enemies, and you'll be able to find the value, freeze it, or change it to 255 max, because it's a 1 byte hex address, which is of course max 255. And that was all fine, and I could easily find the values for both the white magic and the black magic potions. Find a potion
use it, then what I would do is that I would save a state when I had one. I would use it, and then I would load the state over again, so I wouldn't have to keep on looking around for all these potions and everything throughout the world. That would just take too long. So I would just keep on loading and reloading the save file where I had the one. I'd use it, go down to 0, search from a value going from 1 to 0, and that's how I would find those values for the for the white and black magic. But the curious thing about the attributes is that it looked like I was able to find the values, because whenever I would beat a boss and I'd get those little jewels, I would actually be able to find what I would believe to be the values for the attribute that I did raise. But it just, no matter what, like I would freeze it or I would try and increase it, it just wouldn't modify what was on the game screen, right? Like it wouldn't it wouldn't interact with the game code, right? Like my attributes would stay exactly the same and they wouldn't be modified. And the other values that I would find that I thought could possibly be the values addressed to the attributes were float point integers, so they kept changing continuously. And I tried really hard at this. Like, I'm not a smart man. I tried real hard at this, like way too long in retrospect, but I couldn't figure it out. So I just decided to let it be and play the game as it was, and grind and get the jewels and send them mostly to either attack or agility. First it was attack, then it was to agility, because, given the fact that I have infinite potions and infinite health, power, which relates to health, doesn't really matter, and intelligence, I'm not really sure what that did. Maybe it modifies your magic, or what, how powerful your magic spells are and everything. But as I said, I'm just basically blasting guys and getting through things as fast as I can, which is why later on I decided to stick with the wizard at the end of the second game. So that was really something, the attributes. And it seemed that in the cheat files, whoever developed them or whoever found them and set them up, it seems that they found them, the values, and the max is of course 20, but as stated, the emulator core does not support cheats like that, so it's a mystery to me as to whether or not those codes would even work. Like, I'm not sure what kind of emulator these people, these cheat finders from game hacking or wherever they're from, I'm not sure what emulator that they would be using if not a lib retro core. And as far as I know, Beetle PCE is the only lib retro core. I'm aware of Magic Engine, but that is very ancient. I'm also aware of Otake, or maybe Utaki, or whatever it is, which is a great deal better, but I think it's dead as of 2 years ago. Still very, very competent and functional emulator, but I'm not sure if it has the same cheat functions that RetroArch would, so I think that you would in the end have to use either Magic Engine's cheat function, or again a hex editor like Art Money or Cheat Engine, in order to get these things to work. And again, it's like I use cheats with all of my games because, like, as I said, terrible eye-hand coordination, little to no patience and everything. Like, again, these games that I'm playing, these last several games, I have already played through and beaten, however, years and years and years ago, so I'm just trying to close the chapter on my life on these games, and so hopefully, maybe in the next 2 gameplay sessions, I'll get to a game that I have actually not played before, which I really want to do. I'm thinking of making it entirely different from what I've been playing as of recent, like not like a Japanese style console RPG. I'm thinking of making it like a several point and click adventures in a row, something like Return to Zork, then maybe Beneath a Steel Sky. Some of the point and click what are now known as Scum VM games, sort of thing. I downloaded Launchbox with all of the DOS games in existence, so that should be something. Maybe I'd like to play through the Tex Murphy games again. Those are games that I had played through years and years and years ago, but they would be certainly a welcome change from these Japanese console style RPGs. Not that they're bad or anything, but it's like I'm kind of feeling a little bit of burnout. Well, especially given the fact that it's like usually it takes me a year to beat a game like this, and I've just been comparatively to that just burning through these games, right? So the little dudes in the dungeon were a nice little touch there. They kind of break up the monotony, but it's like, yeah, for this game for these kinds of games, and to be honest, I'm not sure if I'm going to play the Sega CD version of Dungeon Explorer. I'm kind of Dungeon Explored out, if you get my drift. So maybe somewhere down the line I might come back to it. I'm thinking of doing Vi and then Popful Mail if I ever get to it, which could also be interesting. But yeah, no, I would think that this game would be a way better example of a pack-in game for the TurboGrafx-16. But that's just history, and things played out the way they did, and that's pretty much it. So, yeah, anybody who's familiar with this game would know that there's a kingdom called Odessia, and you only really know how to pronounce it until you play the second game, because that's the first time that it's ever spoken. And you'd think, well, how else would it be pronounced? And I thought, well, maybe Odessia. And it kind of reminds me of Odessa, which is, I believe, a place somewhere in Ukraine, or I could be entirely wrong about that. But yeah, so it's the Kingdom of Odessia or Odessia, and Natos, as I said, Satan. Yeah, yeah. No, so he's taken over, and you're there to stop him, and. Hey, I got to tell you, that's a pretty noble quest to stop the Lord of all evil, So, and this is the point where I died, and I'm just like, what the hell's going on here? Yeah, because when I had frozen the value for my health, I thought that 255 would be more than enough health to never have to worry about getting injured. But the thing is that the game kind of forces the value for your health to go down, so it's like it says 231 even though it's supposed to be locked at 255. So what happens is that if, say, that dragon was attacking me with so many attacks, one single hit from multiple attacks would be more than 255 health taken away from me. So that would kill me even though I have the value for health frozen. So that was a surprising little thing there. So yeah, no, it's like even with all these cheats and with all these frozen values and everything, believe me, it's still pretty difficult. Honestly, it's still quite a chore for me, at least me, to get through this game, right? And of course, I know there are way better playthroughs on YouTube and everything. Let me tell you. I know, again, it's like this is why I call it a ramble. I'm bouncing around from subject to subject here, but I don't know what it is about these games here, Dungeon Explorer and Dungeon Explorer 2, but for the second game in particular, it really blew up. Honestly, my channel, honestly, like the vast majority of my videos barely get like 10 views, and probably half of those are me trying to see if everything uploaded properly and everything, and whether or not it's in 720p or just 360p. But yeah, this the first video that I uploaded of the second game, Dungeon Explorer 2, really blew up. It's got over 300 views as of this point, which is a lot compared to every other video on my channel, right? So, and it's actually got two commenters on it, which I responded to. One guy who thought that I was either a bot or brain dead, and I'm just like, I could respond with something insolent and insulting, but rudeness gets you nowhere. So I just decided to be polite and say, "Hey, you know what? You're right. I'm kind of stupid." So, yeah, that's life, But gotta be me, right? So, and then the next guy who commented, funny. I should go back to the first guy. He I can't necessarily remember how long he's been on YouTube. I guess I can, look this up here. I might as well. I have the time and everything. Go to YouTube and go to my profile, and I've got to make sure that, of course, this is all recording through my microphone and everything, but I'll see if I can. I'll just mute the site here, just so I don't have loud music of my own gameplay blasting in my ear. So, boink. Yeah, so here we go. Rorkier Baptista 9429. That's the guy who thought that I was a mentally retarded robot. And I said, clicky. Might as well be both. Thanks for the comment. And he said, is it a bot playing or just brain damage? So then the next guy, Turbo X-Ray, says, what can I do? Because that's what I put in my description there. You can start by not showing the game in widescreen. LOL. You can tell that this guy's a millennial. He's like, millennials just cannot stop themselves from typing LOL practically 5 times in every comment. So I said, but as I said in my description, showing the game in the original proper 4/3 aspect ratio wouldn't be playing it how I want to play it. Thanks for the comment. And then I said, wow, yeah, compared to my other videos that barely get any views at all, this one is really blowing up. Woohoo. So, and then the guy just goes off on a bit of a tangent here, saying it's like, oh, but it's not proper, oh, yeah, it's like, so why not play it as 16/9 but present it in 4/3 in your videos? You're not gonna get much viewers because they are stretched to hell. I mean, isn't that the point of posting? Isn't that the point of posting of a video? Sorry, he makes a few mistakes here. So people will watch it. Playing retro. Well, sir, you don't know Skwatter from the Sprites Templar. That's what if that's why you think I post videos, you, sir, are firmly mistaken. Playing retro 4/3 games in 16/9 is pretty extreme minority of retro game players. Well, I guess I am a minority. Probably the biggest sin that you can do for retro games. Oh, yeesh. Kind of sounds a little sanctimonious, but whatever. I responded with politeness. I'm not bitter about any of these comments or anything like that. Like I'm getting interaction, I guess, which is a positive boon, a neat little novelty, even though it's not necessarily what I'm looking for. But yeah, I just basically pour my soul out to him and tell him exactly why I do what I do and what got me here in the first place. And he's like, yeah, that makes sense. And I'm just like, hey, great, glad we can come to a compromise, right? Okay, but now I've just realized down in my Cyberlink Power Director window, we have gotten onto the second game, and I have completely gone through the opening cutscene without realizing it. But so I decided to start off with the fighter and see how that went. And I would say, it's cool that a lot of the time websites don't list Dungeon Explorer 2 as a working designs property because they didn't necessarily localize it, although they did do the North American voice acting, which is cool. So several of the voice actors and actresses would come back. Just to let you know, that theater-looking thing there with the speakers on the side, maybe that's a place where you can view all the cutscenes. Like, I tried to interact with it at different points during the game, and I was never able to get anything out of it, so I just basically decided to ignore it. But So and I at the end of the game I tried to see if if there was like a bit of an epilogue where you could just hang around in the city in basically video game purgatory and talk to a few people. Maybe they'd have different scripted dialogue, or maybe, as I said, you could go back to that library and view the cutscenes of the game. But uh, it just basically hung at the Hudson Soft logo after being brutally sliced open by the rather effeminate looking fighter character. Well animated, but rather effeminate looking. Looks kind of femmy, if you ask me. Big, wide hips, thick legs, and everything. The soft facial features. It's almost as if the women in the game look exactly like the men in the game, at least in the cutscenes, as well as in the actual gameplay world. But yeah, because I was playing Fina the elf, and I was just like, wow, since you can see her shoulders and everything because she wears um, I don't know, like a tank top of sorts, and you're just like, wow, she looks pretty butch. Looks like she could be an Olympic boxer, you France 2024. God, what an absolute travesty that was. Absolutely, I puke at the thought of the Olympics now. Now that they have men beating up women, honestly, you might as well just have like spousal abuse in the next Olympics, because yeah, absolute travesty, disaster that is. Shame on them. But yeah, no, back to the game. So I would actually say like this is a very good example of a great game for the TurboGrafx CD. It's got you could do multiple replay sessions. In fact, in my little playthrough of this game, I realized that it's like, oh, this will take a thief to open up. And I'm just like, huh, okay. And then the only other one where I saw that it would have another character, like if you had it would be context specific to the character that you were playing, was a hunter, and you could engage in like a little side quest where you meet like another tribe of hunters. So you would probably be Arden in that case, and not Seppi the thief. And I'm pretty sure that there are little side quests for every one of the 8 main characters, which is again, very, very surprising that they would have something like that in such an early game, early on in the lifespan of CD games, and especially on something like the TurboGrafx CD, which was very, very. There's always an air of desperation about TurboGrafx CD games. You can hear it very much so in the voice acting, especially in games like Last Alert and Valis and everything. If you just look it up, honestly, look up videos of it, and you'll be like, wow, these people, like phoning it in doesn't even come close to the low quality of the voice acting. But you know what? They were very few people working with few dollars, and you know what? I'm glad that we have this content, so God bless them. Yes, this was the first time that I realized that it could be the cheats, or maybe it could be a problem with the emulator. I tried doing it without the cheats on or off, and I see like I'm kind of testing it out there, and so, and I thought, was it this point? It wasn't this point, but sometimes when I would go downstairs or leave a house or an area, the game would soft lock. It would freeze there, and I would hopefully have a save state file that I could just revert back to and then go back down the stairs or out the door, because that would usually fix the problem. But sometimes I would neglect to save for a rather long period of time, so then I would have to stop my recording software, Shadowplay, and I would need to basically replay large sections of dungeons or any part of the game over and over and over again, because the game would soft lock, and I would have no other choice but to either reset the game or load a previous save file. So what I decided to do is that I was saying to myself, every time you go up and down stairs or through a door, you have to save your file, right? So, and that was working for me for a while. But then at one point, and I think it's when I was playing as Arden the Hunter, I accidentally saved during a soft lock. So, shit, I'm fucked, right? Because it's like I now cannot reload my save file because it's already saved at a point where the game is soft locked, and I think I had to reload an actual console save file like through the save menu, um, or maybe I had one in a different save slot, which is again another thing that I had to teach myself to do is and I remapped my controller to have the save functions, the save state, load state would be L3 and R3 respectively. Yeah, left would be save and right would be load. And I would map the right controller stick up down to previous and next save slot. Um, just to make it faster. I hated reaching for the keyboard every time that I needed to do it, right? So, and then I mapped rewind to L to the left thumbstick down. So that's how I would basically deal with it. And again, like I would have to stop playing, I'd have to stop recording, and I have to look this stuff up because I wasn't familiar with the rewind feature at the time. I didn't even have it enabled, so I had to kind of do a crash course of it, and then I play some of the game with the rewind function and the save states still mapped to the keyboard, and that was pissing me off and everything. So as I said, I mapped it to my controller, and so which isn't that big of a deal, if I play a more complex game or a newer game that needs the left and right thumbsticks functional, then I'll change it and map it to some other function or button. I wish that I could map it to the second player controller, but as far as I know, that's not possible. Or maybe I could be wrong about that, but because that would be really convenient because I would need to click in and out of the emulator window, the RetroArch window, and my one and only either GameFAQs walkthrough for this game, or I think there's a guy named Jonathan Hughes who has a comparatively epic compendium of resources on this game, from overworld maps to discussions of characters, what their abilities are, what their magic is and everything, where to get the secret characters and everything, which was a great big help. But again, every time I needed to go to a different page or click on a different link, I need to click out of RetroArch, and then the keyboard shortcuts wouldn't work for the save states and the load states. So I'd say, oh crap, the game is soft locked, and then I'd say quick F4 load, and then F4 wouldn't happen, or I'd try to activate the in-game menu F1, and then I'd end up opening up the help page in my browser and shit. I'm just like, oh my god, this is just baiting me to hell. I can't stand it, right? So yeah, that's why I mapped all of the save functions and stuff like that to the, and I think as around this point, maybe do I turn into the cleric at this point? This is only the first part of this is only the first video, so I might not get to it, but so maybe yeah. And then I realized that yeah, you had to press I believe button 1 in order to select things, because button 2 would always be a no or a cancel, right? So what am I going to do here? Am I going to go to the hunter or the cleric? Yes, so I'm now the hunter. And again, that's like, I'm not a super smart guy, so it's like I was like, so I was just thinking, okay, I get a jewel now, and I just run and take it. This was mainly in the playthrough of the first game, and I wouldn't really realize that, my attributes were color-coded, and they would increase based on the color of the jewel that I decided to get. So I'm just like, okay, my dumbass is learning something every day, even though I've played this before, but I don't really remember a whole lot of it, which is why it was kind of a new experience for both of these games. And but yeah, no, it was neat to see these games, play them through, get all the characters and everything, at this point, this is practically where uh, I almost gave up, with the save states and the freezing and everything. Um, so yeah, this is when this video ends. I believe this is where I would start remapping the controller. But it looks like I'm getting to the end of this video here. I've got these videos playing at 5x speed, and I just use this as a sort of gauge to see how long I should yappity yap 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 in my ramble. So let's I guess I'll start wrapping this up here. So this was Dungeon Explorers 1 and 2. I liked both of them, definitely. They had their grindy bits, they had their stressful bits, but that was mainly my fault. I just don't have the skill to deal with them without cheats that subsequently make glitches, so you gotta live with it. So I will say goodbye, everybody. Skwatter out. Woohoo!